All right, we're just south of Richfield here, still north of the Cimarron National Grasslands, and that's where we're headed, is to the grasslands. We're going to be talking about the grasslands and their reason for existence. And the reason why the Cimarron National Grasslands in Kansas exist, and the reason why the Comanche National Grasslands in southeast Colorado and the Rita Blanca National Grasslands in the Oklahoma and Texas panhandles, the reason why all of those national grasslands exist is because they were a Dustbowl reclamation project. The government bought up a lot of those farms that were blowing, that had been abandoned, took them over, planted them back to native grasses, and created the national grasslands out here in the 5-state area. So that's going to give us an opportunity to talk about the Dustbowl a little bit, and that's what I want to do here for just a minute or two. Much of this area probably should never have been broken out to farm when it was. There were some relatively wet years in the 20s, and it led people to believe that dryland wheat was a winning proposition out here on the high plains, especially the western high plains in the rain shadow of the Rockies, and it was not. It never was. Dryland farming is iffy at best out here. You've got to be careful about your crops, be careful about rotation, be careful about moisture conservation. Luckily, most of this area also sits on top of the Oglala Aquifer, and so through much of its history there has been plentiful irrigation. Unfortunately, the Oglala Aquifer is not what it once was, and the water for irrigation is not as readily available as it once was. But let's get back to the Dustbowl. People began to break out large swaths of the high plains to plant wheat and to grow dryland wheat. And one of the theories that existed at the time was that rain would follow the plow. The idea that if you planted the ground and cultivated the ground, that rain would follow, which is nonsense, of course. And so the 30s, not only did we see an economic depression, but here in the high plains, we were at the heart, here in the 5-state area especially, we were at the heart of an ecological disaster, and that disaster was the Dustbowl. The rain, the moisture stopped. Rains for several years, total rainfall was in the single digits. The wind has always been relentless in this part of the world. Dodge City is the windiest city in the United States with a National Weather Service reporting station. My guess is many cities in the 5-state region would be as windy or windier than Dodge City, but they don't have National Weather Service reporting stations. And so between the dry and the wind, the topsoil began to blow. And there were dust storm after dust storm out here, and that's what characterized the Dustbowl period. Drifts, sand drifts, buried homes, buried fences, buried equipment. People died from dust pneumonia, from breathing in so much dust. My own grandmother died in 2000, but she had emphysema her whole life and eventually died from emphysema, and she'd had that emphysema since she was a child, and it was from breathing in dust during the Dustbowl period. So the Dustbowl was still killing people well after it was over out in this part of the world.